What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 15 of the Standpoint Podcast. With me, as always, is my co-host, Jordan Bohannon. Jordan, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing fantastic, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well, doing well. We're back on Zoom, as you guys can see. You got blessed with our beautiful faces. You probably can see our guests, too, but we'll introduce them in a little bit. So before we start the show, we want to get the housekeeping out of the way and thank everyone for giving us those 5-star reviews and those comments on Apple Podcasts and things like that. Wanted to take a moment to shout out one of the comments that we received last Friday. And it basically, so it gave 4 stars, right? It said great potential. And basically the person said that, he listened to one episode and thinks it could be pretty good. And he thinks that the podcast could go somewhere. Our advice to you is, probably listen to the other 13 podcasts and just make sure that, you get a good understanding of what we're talking about. And then, maybe you leave another better review. You give us 4 stars, which, I appreciate it, but, we're only after those 5 stars. So really appreciate you listening, give all the other episodes a listen, and you'll probably get you, a little more invested in our podcast. So besides that, thank you guys again for interacting with us on Instagram and Twitter. As you can see, we got the video back going today after some technical difficulties for these last couple of weeks. Now we have the video back, which is awesome. Another great way for you guys to, take in this podcast. So we're happy about that. Without further ado, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the dirty stash wearing Buffalo Bills guard, Ike Boettger. Ike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Really excited about this. Jordan, can you so Jordan introduced me to Ike and, got him to come on the podcast. Jordan, can you explain how you know Ike?
Yeah, I think the first time I met you, I was with my brother Matt, and we were at Cold Stone, I believe, in Iowa City. And I knew of you, of course. And I think Matt was talking about how close he was because he met you at a bar in Cedar Falls, I believe.
Yeah. I'm friends with a lot of his friends from UNI.
Yeah, so I think that was the very first time we got Cold Stone. There's this 6'6", 300-pound Iowa guard on in Cold Stone. I'm like, Matt, don't you know him? And he's like, yeah, that's Ike. Let's say what's up. And that was the very first time I met you. But I thought
And
that was a funny.
you might not remember this. I think I would have played you in basketball my senior year when you were a freshman.
Oh, seriously?
I played for Cedar Falls, and you played varsity as a freshman, right?
Yeah, I don't even remember that. That was so long ago.
Yeah.
Did we win?
Say it again.
Did we win?
I don't think so.
Was it at Cedar Falls?
Jordan, you got dunked on, right? That's what happened?
Probably, honestly. I was
got a body on you,
5'9"
probably.
and 110 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah. I honestly don't even remember if we won, but I will definitely find out after this.
You probably put me in the basket, honestly.
So, Ike, you're in Buffalo right now. Give the listeners a little rundown on how is Buffalo and what are some similarities between Iowa and the differences between the two?
That's a great question. Honestly, similarities. If I were to take somebody from Iowa and put them out here, they really it's very hard to tell the difference. You got a lot of great restaurants, good different types of food. The weather is very similar. It gets pretty humid in the summer, but it doesn't get nearly as cold out here. The snow is just what separates us, I think, weather-wise. You'd get, feet at a time instead of, inches. But then it'll melt pretty fast. So I love it out here. Rains a lot in the, spring, summer, which I'm not a huge fan of, but pretty moderate weather. The people are nice. It's not, it's a long way from New York City, so the people are all nice. It's very Midwest-like in that way. A lot of homegrown people hunting, deer everywhere, a lot of woods, farming. So there's a lot of similarities. I actually live about 30 minutes outside of Buffalo in Orchard Park, which is where the Bills facility is, and I'm like 5-10 minutes from the facility, and that's where I go every day. So there's some guys live downtown, but I'm married. I have a kid. I just like to chill at home in my off time.
How has that transition been with your family and making to the NFL and having a kid now, and that's just the whole aspect of a family environment while you're playing professional football?
Yeah, they do a really good job at letting you be a part of your family here, and I know that's not like every NFL team, so I've been very, very blessed in that in that sense. This year, though, it's been tough just because of the whole COVID thing. So, usually they would have like a trick or treat thing, a lot of stuff for the kids at my kid's not very old. He's only, 7, 8 months. But for, those kids that are a little bit older, it's a lot of fun for families to go in there. They set up, bounce house and all that stuff. So it's very, it's a family oriented business, setting here. And I'm really, blessed in that way and hope to stay here and keep that going as Clay gets older. But, it's this year has just been a challenge. I mean, as for everybody, because, my wife doesn't want to go out and do anything in case she gets it, because then that affects me and that affects the whole team. So, even though we're not technically locked down, we kind of are, because, Jordan, you think of the team in front of yourself, and if you get it and you give it to 4 or 5 guys, and then the contact tracing puts another 5 guys out, you can wipe the whole team out pretty quick if you're not careful. So, guys have been doing a really good job in the building and outside of the building. We haven't had any of those real big outbreaks, but you see it around the NFL, you see it in college teams, and so that's been the big challenge this year. Is just you kind of stay home.
We've seen, as football fans, and just even the whole season as a whole, how has the COVID, basically all of the things you guys have to do, all the processes, all this, like basically the testing every day, and how has that affected you, mentally, and basically has it changed the way that you approach football and game days and game weeks and stuff like that, just because you never know when things are, going to happen. You don't know if you're going to get delayed, like you had a couple weeks ago where you played almost 2 games back to back. So how do you mentally prepare yourself for the unknown?
I'd say the best way to do that is just take it day by day. You usually have a good idea if a day is going to go smooth because your test results would have rolled in early that morning. Um, So, right away if somebody's got it, and then, they go look at the tracers and see who was around that person. So you kind of have a good idea going each day. This last weekend we had 5 guys that couldn't even make the trip, and that happened like an hour before we left. So, I think the Bills organization is doing a really good job at keeping us spread out in the building, because some guys might not show up on a test before it's too late, and then guys are also doing a really good job at outside of the building. We're not getting in big groups of us. We have a rule, so no more than 3 people can be together outside the building, and guys are following that really well, and that's really helped. But I mean, like you said, you show up someday, you might be locked out of they might email you and say, you were locked out for a few hours. And that goes all the way back to off season. We didn't even have an off season. We just stayed home and did everything on Zoom. So I think starting then, people kind of understood like this is going to be a different year. So you kind of started mentally preparing, like, I mean, I'm going to do everything I can to get ready, but hey, this game could change. The day, the time, the day that it's going to happen on could change. So kind of just rolling with the punches. And I think, going to the University of Iowa, they always talked about that, whether we're playing out in the parking lot or we're playing in front of 70,000, like, you have a job to do, get out there and do your job. And I think that mindset has helped me personally.
How has it been playing? I know some teams are playing with some fans and some are not, but how has it been, for the most part, playing in empty arenas around the league?
It's just weird because, I mean, I'm a guy that loves like the energy that, fans give. And as a lineman, you're not getting much attention, but when somebody scores or something like that, adrenaline rush you get of a guy scoring, or, a big play. I mean, we're going nuts on the sideline, but it's kind of like you're in like I don't know, 8U or 14U soccer, and it's like your mom and dad are cheering for you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we're going nuts on the sideline, but it's like, okay, like the other team's just sitting there. So it's it's a weird dynamic. And then when you do go somewhere with fans, I mean, they maybe have, like, I think this weekend in Arizona they had like 3,000 or something. Like, that's you might as well not even have fans at that point. Like, I
Right.
know cool for them to go, but that doesn't make any difference in my opinion. Florida, I think they're getting more and more fans, but it's just that energy aspect. You kind of got to bring that energy. You got to rely on each other more than ever.
Mhm.
And when it's bad, getting guys up, and when it's good, like bring the energy for the guys around you, because you got nothing else.
You brought up the fans, Buffalo fans, Iowa fans. What's the difference between the two? What are the similarities? We both, you've seen all the Buffalo Bills fans jumping on the foldable tables and how crazy they get in the tailgates that probably resemble a lot of stuff that happens on Melrose for Iowa. So what are some differences and similarities between those two fan bases you've seen?
I mean, ride or die fans for sure, good, bad, or otherwise. They're gonna fill the stadium no matter what, and that's something that a lot of NFL teams for sure can't say. Uh, my rookie year, we had a rough year, but they were still, there's still thousands of fans. It never felt empty. But I think the biggest difference is, like, they've had their heart broken here so many times with the 4 Super Bowls that they made it to and didn't win, that just like we came home last year from probably 3 or 4 games, and we get home at 2, 3 in the morning, and these people have to work the next day, and there'd be like hundreds, if not into the thousands, of people, like basically having a mini party in the right outside the gate where we get off the plane. So, and I'm like, I just woke up from trying to sleep on the plane, and these people are going nuts. So, like it's just like, I would say it's just another notch up from Iowa. And I know Iowa fans are crazy. They're awesome. They're the best in the college, I think. But the Buffalo fans, they're Friday night they're out there tailgating already for Sunday, and they're just it's cool. It's something really cool to be a part of.
So talk about a little about your time at Iowa and how much you enjoyed playing football from university and looking at onto. I know it's a little different being a fan right now for University of Iowa football, just with COVID and everything, but looking onto as an alumni from the University of Iowa and trying to cheer them on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my career at Iowa was great. I got hurt quite a bit, so I have some not so great memories as well. But overall, I had a blast. Made my best friends there, like I'm sure you have, and the fans environment. Every Saturday you could come to the NFL. A lot of guys didn't have that. They didn't have that, every Saturday, and so I feel blessed to have that as well. And then this is my 3rd year out, so I'm starting not to know really as many guys that are on the team. So that's kind of different and weird. Um, Jack Campbell, who's a young kid, is a linebacker, who's a neighbor of mine, who plays. He just can't got done with having some mono, but he played last week. He's like the last guy that I really know really well. I mean, a couple of linemen I still know, but they were just so young when I graduated. Um, and it's been a fun year, but it's a weird year too. Looking at Kinnick with just parents in the stands, and
Mhm.
kind of feel bad for those guys, honestly. Coming out in the swarm, and nobody's your parents are there clapping. I kind of, it's young guys and seniors. That's their last year doing it, and so that's kind of been tough to watch. But they've been playing great these last couple weeks, so that's been fun. And I love we get to the hotel Saturday, depending on when they play, or I'm home if it's a home game. Just getting to watch them before I go in for my night meetings has been makes Saturday a lot of fun.
Can you walk us through? Because a lot of the people don't, have an understanding of it. First episode, when we first started to break down the whole idea of the show and everything, people know the athlete. They know Jordan plays basketball. They see him on TV. They see you playing football on TV, whether it's in college or the NFL, but they don't know all of the intricacies and things that go in the background. They just see game day, right? So, what does the normal day look like? How about like Saturday before a game on Sunday? Can you walk us through the things that happened that day and how hectic it could be?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I'll just give you like a couple days. So because Saturday for me, I try to have all my work done before Saturday so I can kind of relax and try to recharge before the game. But let's just start with like a Wednesday, which is what I consider like the first day of the work week. We get Tuesday off, going Wednesday. I like to have a pretty good idea of, the defense we're going to be facing. Try to be feeling pretty good by as good as I can after Sunday. So get some good recovery in those days before. Know what defense they're going to run, first and second down stuff. So what run plays are we going to run? Into what looks, what are their favorite blitzes. I try to mentally prepare before I walk in Wednesday. Then Wednesday, they're going to kind of tell me exactly what the plan is this week. So I can kind of start to knit together what I think, it's going to look like on Sunday, and then go out to practice, get, first of all, we have a walkthrough. So walk through some looks that we're going to see, practice some different looks that we might see, and then wrap that up, get a workout in, go to meetings, watch practice, and then get some more recovery stuff in, go home, watch film, watch a few more games, start preparing for third down. Third down's Thursdays. So same kind of deal, but, different part of the game, third down, which is huge. Do the same thing Thursday. Then Fridays, short yardage, goal line, the final touches really, and then you have a fast practice, fast Friday, we call it. And then wrap that up Saturday, wake up, have a walkthrough, and start to recharge, getting ready for Sunday. But I like to have, everything kind of wrapped up in my mind Friday so that I can just kind of relax Saturday, relax Sunday morning until, you start to ramp it up so you're not like ramping it up too soon and wasting all that energy.
The big question here, being a guard in the NFL, how much do you eat on a day-to-day basis?
Walk us through breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and everything.
every single facet.
So off season, I probably eat similar to you guys when I'm not working out super hard. When I start working out, that's probably, so let's go with off season, because when I'm really training hard in the off season, when I eat the most, I'll wake up, I'll eat probably 4 to 5 eggs, probably two or three pieces of toast, and then I'm a big smoothie guy, so I really don't like vegetables, but I know I got to eat them, so I just put them in a smoothie with some fruit, a couple scoops of protein, and then I'll go work out, get done, eat some more protein, eat another protein shake, try to get some good fats in, avocado, nuts, that kind of stuff. That's what I try to focus my snacks on, because I'm not trying to just be a total toad. Then I eat lunch. Try to eat a lot of protein at lunch. I like lots of different kinds of fish, salmon, tuna. I'm trying to cook more, so I have a couple Traegers at home. Love to smoke fish, and that lasts a while. So if I cook some, I don't eat it all. I can eat it later. Do a bunch of chicken breasts up once or twice a week. So lunch I'll probably eat two or three pieces of meat. Get some good carbs. Whether it's a potato and some more good fats, and then afternoon snack. What I usually have. I feel like as the day goes on, I get like a little bit lazier with how good I eat, but I'm trying to battle that. I usually, whatever, maybe go out to eat. I go out to eat quite a bit, especially in non-COVID times, or like DoorDash. I love DoorDash. Sushi, I love sushi, hibachi. I'm trying to stay away from red meat, but steak every once in a while. Just a lot of protein, though, to be honest. As much protein as I can eat in a day.
So if DoorDash is listening, Ike needs a sponsorship. He loves DoorDash.
Absolutely.
Contact him right away. He needs that DoorDash sponsorship.
Promo code Ike.
Promo code Ike.
You're in Buffalo, right? Obviously, the Buffalo wing. Give us a breakdown on the Buffalo wings. Are they overhyped, underhyped? Walk us through the wings in Buffalo.
So I honestly had extremely high expectations because I'm a big wing guy, and Iowa City, like, honestly, has very good wings. I would say Stella,
Unbelievable.
unbelievable wings.
There you go.
And for me, it's quality, like the quality of the chicken. So, I mean, there's pretty hefty competition out here for who's got the best wings. There's a place called Barbill, which I think does it the absolute best. But what makes it different out here is just the sauce, the different sauces, and they like hand, dress every wing, so every wing is like perfect. And I'm almost sick of wings. I've been out here for years, but if you get me Barbill wings, I'll eat them every day. And they all make their own homemade blue cheese, so that's another thing that really levels them up. But yeah, their wings are, I don't think, overrated at all. Everybody that comes out here and I take them to Barbill, they're like, all right, this is the real deal. But there's probably 4 or 5 places out here that are substantially better than probably any other wing I've had.
What sauces are you working with out there?
My favorite is called Cajun Honey Butter Barbecue.
Wow.
This honey butter sauce, and they put this Cajun sauce on it. But I mean, the real buffalo wing is just like a buffalo sauce. They don't even a calling it a buffalo wing though is like disrespectful here. So you just call them wings, and like a wing would just be medium buffalo sauce, and you do not ask for ranch. That's against the rule. Blue cheese only.
Iowans would be pissed about that.
I know, I'm a big ranch guy too, but I do like blue cheese, and I like it even more now that they're making their own and they know how to do it.
What's the best ranch spot in Iowa and University of Iowa?
There's only one answer.
There's only one answer.
I'm going with the Vine.
Wow.
Whoa, Jordan, what do you think?
I mean, after seeing that girl ask for ranch at Airliner that went viral, it has to be Airliner, right?
I literally only ate at Airliner twice.
Really?
But
Really?
I found their pizza is unbelievable.
Yeah.
What places in Iowa do you miss? What was your favorite? How about walk us through this? Your favorite normal sober spot? Favorite coming home after the bar, coming home from Summit, Fieldhouse, wherever you might be. What spot are you going to then to?
So I lived on Benton Street. So I mean, Poncheros is like 2 blocks from my house. I miss Poncheros big time. But my goodness, we went out to eat. I lived with Bo Bauer and Josie Jewell, Drake Kulik, Kluver, Kevin Ward. We had like 2 different houses that were front and back. And I swear me and Bo and Peter Picar would join us a lot. We would go out to eat, I would say probably 6 days a week. So Stella was always huge. Do you have Black Card, Jordan? Do they still do that? Yeah. So Stella was always big time. I loved Heirloom. They had soup and good sandwiches. Oh man, Bread Garden every once in a while was solid. What's the sushi spot downtown?
Formosa?
That was okay. But I would say if I'm in town, I'm probably going to Stella. It's just hard to beat.
What's your go-to meal there? Wings, obviously. What would you get there? What's your full course meal?
It's the lemon crusted chicken, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's on their like little paper menu.
Yeah.
But all credit goes to Beathard on that. He showed me that.
Give us some. I mean, you've been a part of some great teams. A lot of characters on those teams at Iowa. Do you have any funny stories about going out with those guys, or anything that comes to the front of your mind when you bring those memories up?
Oh man, I mean, we would Saturday nights, like they were always good times. I can't think of like a specific time. I feel like when I was younger, it was like a little bit crazier, but it kind of like watered down. And there was some of us that tried to, keep it going, but I don't know. Summit was always fun. Summit was always a good time. So it was sports column when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I would always go out with Scherff, and he showed me the way of the downtown life, I would say. So Sheriff, and then Ray Hamilton. There's a bunch of older guys I used to go out with, and the guys I lived with really didn't go out much until they got a little bit older. So I was kind of like the one man Benton Street show, I guess. But gosh, I don't know. After our pro day, we did a party bus, and that was like kind of the last hoorah, and that was just, it was a lot of fun just looking at all the guys you're with that you came in with, and you went all the way through Iowa football, which is, it's not a lot of guys make it all the way through. So that was just a lot of fun with them and being together with them. And we went to a bunch of little small town bars and just had a blast. But I don't know, nothing that's really repeatable into the air.
How about this? Walk us through. You just came, you came to the locker room after a big win. You just beat, Minnesota for a night game or Iowa State or whatever. And, the boys are feeling it. The energy's high. What happens after the game? Do you go home? Do you change? Do you just change at the stadium, go out right away? Do you pregame? Like, walk us through the intricacies of a post-win situation.
Okay, so first of all, 11 o'clock games were like the best because you could get home, you could take a nap, you could actually feel like a normal human being going out. Night games were so late that half the time we wouldn't even go out, honestly, because we were so tired and knew we had a full week ahead of us. But 11 o'clock, so you'd get home maybe like 4:30, hang out with your family for a couple hours, and then you got to head home because we got some business to take care of. Then we'd have like a little pregame, hang out, watch whatever football game was on, and talk about the game. And then from there it was usually Summit, to be honest. The craziest nights were definitely there, and a lot of, like, when we beat Michigan, that was a night game. CJ's brother was playing a concert, so that was awesome. We got to go see him play and then go out after that. That was a really fun night. The Ohio State game was nuts, but that one was so late. So a lot of those night games are like the coolest wins. You don't go out and have a crazy time after, but those wins mean the most, really. Those big time wins.
So I have a funny story. I don't know, Keith Duncan will probably think this is funny. Because it was his freshman year. You guys just beat Michigan on his game-winning field goal.
Oh, yeah.
And we're talking about funny stories. This is just bringing me to memory because he lived like right next to me on the 7th floor of Peterson. So I was pretty good friends with him freshman year. And so he kicks the game-winning field goal, and it was a night game. I think it was actually it was evening game, and it turned out to be a night game, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, yeah.
So he gets back to Peterson. We're all waiting for him, and we're all screaming. And I didn't end up going downtown with him, but I met him downtown, and I found out later that he was trying to get into Summit, and they wouldn't let him in. And supposedly he's like, yeah, this girl with me was like screaming, he just kicked the game-winning field goal. You gotta let him in. You gotta let him in. And supposedly they ended up not letting him in. I thought that was the funniest thing ever.
That is classic.
Yeah.
That is classic. I'll have to, Brad. I'll have to talk to Brad about
that.
For
sure. Yeah, for sure.
This is a random question. Do you guys still get catering, like food catered with COVID and stuff?
It's a little different now because of the COVID rules. We get about twice a week. Normally it's about every single after practice, but
okay.
It's super not what it used to be right now.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that, Gray's catering is. I didn't go out to eat there a ton. I would go for their lunch buffet that was incredible, but if you want to talk about the best food in Iowa City, it starts right there.
For sure.
The chicken at Gray's is insane.
Oh my gosh. Those chicken lips.
Oh, so good.
Those are unbelievable. And they're putting a restaurant on top of that hotel that they're going to build across from Kinnick.
Oh, wow.
That's almost complete, I think.
Yeah, I haven't been back so long, but
yeah.
What So taking it back to football for a second. So you say you prep, do all your homework before the game days on Sundays and kind of get to a point where you feel comfortable. You came from Iowa, which, as Iowa fans know, not a lot of mobile quarterbacks. They're not really scrambling out of the pocket. They're kind of just sitting in there, either taking the sack, throwing it away, whatever. Now you have a quarterback in Josh Allen who can run a little bit, a little more mobile and stuff like that. Was that just a culture shock to you? Like, holy shit, this guy's running out of the pocket. I didn't know that was legal. Like, how did you get used to that?
Well, I mean, I played with CJ.
CJ got out of the pocket a lot.
Yeah, I only played really one full year of college, my junior year. Otherwise, besides my sophomore year, I was hurt. My senior year, I was hurt. So, and CJ, especially my sophomore year, because he got dinged up a little bit that year that we went undefeated, and I don't know if he ever fully got back to himself, but he was flying around. I remember that Iowa State game in particular, and he was he was running away from people. So I played with him, and he could kind of do that. But Josh is he's my size minus 100 pounds, so he's still probably 230. And then guys literally just can't tackle him. It's unbelievable. So, and there's so many similarities between him and CJ, like their competitive nature and the way they can rally guys and just that like aura they have around them. Like guys just they gravitate towards him, and then guys play harder, and then he makes crazy plays. Whether he's really improved as a passer as well. So it's a lot of fun to be on the field with him and watch him work, and even some of the throws he makes in practice are just like, that is silly. Like there's just not very many people that can do the things he does on a football field.
Were you on the Iowa team when they played Wyoming?
Yeah,
It's cool.
Yeah.
So do you ever bring that up a little bit? Ever, talk about that Wyoming game a little bit?
My first couple of years I did.
What so you're a behemoth of a human, right? You're huge, like a created my player in Madden type guy. So when you were younger, did you get born into the offensive lineman life? Did you ever be like, hey, like I want to throw the ball, I want to catch the ball? Any like idea of that? Or right when you're younger, double stripe around your helmet, go out there and block. How did that work?
So I was a quarterback my junior year in high school.
Ooh.
And they said you could play quarterback my senior year too, but I had gotten the scholarship to play tight end at Iowa, so I'm like, I gotta switch this up. So I played basically tight end, receiver, D end my senior year in high school, which was a lot of fun, and honestly never missed quarterback since. I like quarterback, but I didn't really train to be a quarterback. Somebody got hurt, and so I basically got forced into playing it. And I had fun playing it, but if I would have started as a kid playing quarterback, there's just a lot of things that you need to learn, at an early age, I think, to play quarterback, and it's more of a skill, based position, whereas it's just a lot of natural given ability to play receiver or running back. There's definitely skills that you can get better at, but quarterback is very technical and the way you throw it and your release and all that stuff to go to the next level. And then if you want to go to the NFL, if you're an NFL quarterback, that is probably top 5 hardest job in the world. So I had a little taste, I'd say, of playing something else, but playing O-line, people don't think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. It's hard, it's difficult, but it's very rewarding, and it's a fun position.
What do you say to people that say that to be an offensive lineman in the NFL, you got to have a little something screw loose up top? Do you agree with that statement?
Absolutely.
Walk us through the trenches of an NFL game in Buffalo. Could be snowing, could be raining, could be sleeting, whatever it may be. What happens in those just trenches and those dog piles and things like that? Can you cite sounds? What are people saying? Are they poking you in the eye? Give us some examples of that.
Oh man, I'd say the biggest difference between college and the NFL is just, you would game plan for somebody in college all week that was a potential NFL player. and you're like, this guy, you can't let this guy ruin the game, like blah blah blah. In the NFL, that's every player. So every player is that guy that you would have played in college. So people always ask like, who's the best guy that you've gone against, and blah blah blah. I say every single one of them. I mean, they're all very good players. So you just have to be like mentally, you have to prepare in a way that when you get on the field, you're not even thinking. You're just focused on like, what's this guy going to do? And it's more technical, I would say. You can't just rely on, some guys still can just rely on natural given ability, but God-given ability, but it's just a whole different game. And then once you get into battle, it is a battle. It's like a war out there, and just working together with the guy that's next to you, I'd say, is the most important. And that you have everybody's back around you, and they have your back around you, and that gives you an extra little boost. And then when the whistle, in between the whistles, you gotta scrap, and you gotta compete at the highest level that you can.
What's it like being under? There's a fumble and you're diving in the dog pile and everyone's on top of you. Do you say anything to the guy that recovered the ball that's on the other team?
I mean, I'm not usually saying anything. I'm just trying to figure out a way to get that ball from him, whatever it takes, to be honest.
So you don't scratch their arms or pinch their arms or poke them in the eye or anything?
Yeah, I'm not going to disclose anything I do. I haven't been in any piles. I haven't been in any piles, I don't think, in the NFL. Maybe, yeah, maybe a couple. I haven't been, surprisingly, in many, but basically anything that you could think of happening in a pile, it's probably happened. So I'll just leave it at that.
What? So, your journey to the NFL has been, it's been a long, crazy journey, I guess, in saying that sense, is where, you really worked your way to get to the point where you are, and you really, your hard work definitely paid off. So walk us through that journey, whether it was signing with the Bills, your pro day, the whole journey, how did that work? And, how did you get to the point you are today?
Okay, so after my junior year, I kind of, I knew that there was going to be a good opportunity to go to the NFL, and I just, prepared for our senior year at Iowa because we were going to be good and it was going to be a fun year. And I mean, I loved my time at Iowa, so I was like, you work your whole career for your senior year, so I was ecstatic about that, and wasn't really thinking too much about the NFL. I was just like, I'm going to have as much fun as I can this year, and whatever happens, happens. Um, that second game, my senior year, I ruptured my Achilles, so I know I'm done. And then I also knew that was like a huge red flag, for me as a guy that was, projected to get drafted. And then, I mean, even if it was an ACL, that would have been fine because guys recover from those all the time. But I was really young, and I'm at a position where Achilles just don't happen, that often to offensive linemen in college. So I knew my, draft stock was basically gone, and so that was frustrating. I mean, you work a long time, your whole life basically for that opportunity, and to get drafted would have been awesome. But I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. The draft happened, and I knew that whole time I wasn't going to get drafted. So I kind of knew how it would work. Is teams that were interested in signing me as a free agent would contact me or my agent, and then I would decide. You kind of pick which team you want to go to if you have multiple options. So I had quite a few options of teams to pick, and I went with Buffalo, just the opportunity, and the O-line coach that was here at the time had a couple ties with my agent. So I basically let him, pick, what he thought was best, and just went from there. Came out here, really didn't feel too good. My whole first year on that leg just didn't feel 100%, was still, kind of recovering from that. And I put a lot of work into that the last, 3 years recovering from that. And this is the first year that I've really felt like confident with it, not even thinking about it. So, that first year I am in camp with Buffalo, go through preseason, and then final cuts, I get released, but they're going to sign me back to the practice squad the next day. So I'm literally like I'm just moving from one hotel across, and then I go across this parking lot to move to like a more permanent hotel that I'm going to stay at. And then I'm going to go sign my practice squad contract because it's a different contract. So, and you have to go on waivers. So there's 24 hours where you can be picked up by a different team. And so I go in there and I'm sitting in the cafeteria and they come get me and they're like, all right, we're ready to talk to you or whatever, do whatever. So I go into the GM's office and he's like, you got claimed by the Chiefs. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Like, I didn't even know I had no idea how that really worked because I just didn't, me or my agent didn't really think it was going to happen. So within like 3 hours, I was on a plane to Kansas City. So I get there late that night, wake up that next morning, full padded practice with like entirely different offense. It was crazy. So I was just like spinning, like what's going on, trying to learn as much as I can, as fast as I can. So being there, I was there for 10 days and I kind of like, I knew it was going to happen. So they had a tight end that was suspended for a week. So they basically had a free roster spot. So they basically told me like, we claimed who we thought was the best on waivers, who got cut, knowing that we could cut you basically after a week and put you on practice squad because they're like, we want to give you this year to rehab your leg, get back to 100%, and then you can compete next year. So I'm like, all right, that sounds good. So 10 days later, they cut me. So the same thing happens. 24 hours, and you could, at that point, before this new CBA that we got this year, you could negotiate practice squad contracts. So Buffalo and Kansas City were like deciding basically how much they were going to pay me to be on practice squad. Well, Kansas City was going to offer me like a substantially amount, more money. So I'm like, okay, let's do that. I basically left it all up to my agent because I don't really like dealing with any of that. I just want to do, my football stuff, and he worries about that. I like to keep it separate. So I'm driving in my truck, which my parents had drove down from Iowa in to sign that separate contract. And I get a call from this guy in Buffalo that like handles everything. He's like, hey, what's your information? Like your legal name and all this stuff. Like, we got to get you on a flight back to Buffalo. And I had just gotten off the phone with my agent. He told me to go sign this contract with Kansas City. So I'm like, I'm literally on the phone with him. I'm like, I'm not coming back. Like, and he's like, no, we claimed you. So like, you don't have an option really. And like, I was ecstatic because then I was never on a practice squad. And that's for like, there's a lot of like benefits and stuff that you can get for being on a roster. So I basically got claimed 2 times in 10 days and flew from Buffalo to Kansas City, got my truck. So then I went back to the hotel, put all my stuff in my truck and just left my truck there, and then flew back to Buffalo, and then, got back there, woke up that next morning, full padded practice, like different parts of the week, and I haven't left yet. Got my truck shipped out, and I've been here ever since.
Explain so we've noticed this year, you're getting a lot more snaps and you really get in there and being an integral part of that offensive line. Do you know you're going to be starting or getting more snaps week by week? Is it just being ready on game day, or how does that work?
Honestly, there's been 2 weeks this year that I've known that I'm, going to be starting. And then a couple other, a few other weeks where they've told me like, yeah, you're going to get some playing time. So it's basically just a week by week thing. Being an undrafted guy, it's just like, it's kind of like a walk on in college sports, I would say. That's, the comparison I would draw. You just gotta be ready at all times. You never know when your number's going to be called. And, I'm just trying to take advantage of the opportunities that I get and go out there and fly around and try to have as much fun as I can because, it is a lot of fun. At the end of the day, it's it's a business. It's a cutthroat business, but it's a game. Like, it's a kid's game. So I think people take it very serious, and I take it very serious, in that aspect of like, I'm going to do everything I can to prepare. But when I get out there, it's just like, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to, fly around because I've seen how fast a season and career can end. And, mine almost did end with that Achilles, but I just try and take it, that way more than any way else.
Explain a little bit. You touched on your injuries in college and how that kind of shaped you to get to the Buffalo Bills at the end of the road. So explain how that the trials and tribulations kind of helped you get to the mindset you're at now of continue to have fun with the game that you love playing and that you wanted to grow up playing in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, I know you probably have a lot of the same thoughts as I do around injuries. I was a kid in high school and young part of my career where I just didn't really ever get hurt, or I would get hurt in stuff that you could easily play through, and I had no issue doing that. But then when I started getting stuff that was like, I have to have surgery with Achilles, or I had a high ankle sprain where I couldn't walk. Like, you just can't. There's certain things where you simply can't play through it, and there's nothing you can do. So it's kind of like a helpless feeling. But to be honest, I feel like the Lord has really used those things in my life to change the way I view not only sports, but just life in general, to take advantage of, really every opportunity you've got. And that goes way beyond sports, but you never know when, your time on earth is over, and you never know when the last snap or, the last basketball play, you just never know when that time's going to end. So why not have fun doing it? I would hate looking back and being like, oh, that's would be my biggest regret, because there was certain things when I got hurt that I was like, gosh, I wish I would have done that or done this. And now I'm just like, I'm going to do all that stuff. So if something happens, I'm happy. I'm fine. I can, if my career were to completely end, they'd be like, yeah, you can't play football ever again. I wouldn't be like, oh, I wish I would have done this or that. And I wish I would have had more fun and been more relaxed, or, that's just not the way that I think about it. Some guys like to get really uptight and take it very seriously, and that makes them play better. But that's not how I operate. And, I think the Lord definitely used a lot of things that happened in my life to shape that.
So would you say you learn more from those trying moments and like the failures in your life, or do you think you learn more from the successes that you had?
All failures for sure. Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's important just because, I mean, Jordan's in the situation now, like you said, where, coming back from an injury, you have a lot of question marks and stuff like that. But do you think it gives you a little more chip on your shoulder to prove people wrong? I mean, coming from your position, like you said, an undrafted free agent, kind of going between teams and not knowing where you're going to end up. Do you think that fuels you a little bit more? It gives you a little more of an edge out there? Or do you still just take, like you said, day by day, play by play, and try to have fun with it and use your ability and practice in the moment?
Yeah, I mean, that underdog mentality is something that, I think is very important to have. And I think that builds that. Going to a school like Iowa, they build that mentality in you as well. So there's a lot of different things, but I just think that having that chip on your shoulder and that mindset in your preparation, and then when you're actually competing, that just gives you an edge no matter what. Even if, I feel like the best, like Michael Jordan, he played with a chip on his shoulder and he was the best of all time. So it's like, if that guy's doing
Better
it,
than LeBron. Better than LeBron. Better than LeBron.
yeah,
Yeah. Mike's better than LeBron. We're just gonna. Ike said it. Everyone heard it.
Well, Ike, we really appreciate you taking the time, man, to speak with us. We know you're super busy. You get one off day a week, so we really appreciate you giving us the time with that. We had a really good conversation. I'm sure we could talk for hours on hours, and all the stories that you have, hopefully one day maybe we could all sit down with a beer and really get to hear those dog pilot stories. But
Absolutely.
thank you again, man, for meeting with us today. We really appreciate your time. Everyone, keep making sure to subscribe, 5 stars. As I said in the beginning of the episode, please give our every episode a listen before you critique us. We're really trying to improve week by week. So thank you guys again for your support, and we appreciate y'all, and see you guys next week.